Hey guys, YouTube Leonard here. Alright, and now here I am to kick off these Phase 3 Marvel Cinematic Universe reviews. And starting off with review 4 Doctor Strange. So, yeah, prior to when I saw this movie in the theaters, I really didn't know too much about the Doctor Strange character. I mean, I knew like his name, like the name is like really famous, and like yeah, so I did know, like, I did hear of Doctor Strange, like, I knew he was a Marvel character, but I didn't really know too much about him. Like, I knew he was, like, kind of like a kind of a magical wizard like character, but I really didn't know, like, what his magical powers really did, what they really did do and what they really did mean. So, yeah. So, yeah, I wasn't really like too familiar with the Doctor Strange character prior to when I first saw this movie in theaters. But yeah, of course, like I was still like interested in him, and because of course, like I had seen like every Marvel movie prior to when I did go see this film. Like yeah, this film of course was released after I did like make the reviews for all the MCU movies I did a few years ago. So yeah, so I had seen them. So of course I did have like huge interest in seeing this, and I really was like kind of curious to see like how they would really do this to really introduce a Doctor Strange into the universe. So so yeah, I did go see this movie, and yeah, it was a pretty good movie overall. I mean, I did enjoy the movie. Yeah, it overall like this film I would probably say of the MCU movies I would probably say that this was the quote unquote weakest MCU movie of all the ones that had been released back, dating back to the Winter Soldier. So yeah, I would have said out of the ones that all did like were released from the Winter Soldier up to this film, I would probably say this was the weakest one, but I still did enjoy the movie. I mean, it was a pretty good movie overall. I mean, yeah, I did enjoy it. I mean, it was a good, like, kind of, sort of a mythological, a magical type of story arc, and yeah, I did like it. Yeah, I really did enjoy like a lot of the movie. Yeah, the reason that I would probably say why I do think it was the weakest one, dating back to the Winter Soldier, probably just because there were like quite a few parts in this movie where some scenes like just seemed to kind of like drag on, and it like sort of did become like a little bit unfocused, but just and yeah, it just like didn't seem like as well paced as quite a lot of the other films, especially like all the ones all dating back to the Winter Soldier. But yeah, it was still like a pretty good movie overall, and I did enjoy it. Yeah, of course, like the movie stars Benedict Cumberbatch as Doctor Stephen Strange, and yeah, I actually really did like Benedict Cumberbatch in the role, and I really do think that this is really like one of the best casting choices for in all the Marvel movies because Benedict Cumberbatch actually does look an awful lot like the original Doctor Strange. Like if you look at like in the comics how Doctor Strange looks, Benedict Cumberbatch actually does look quite a lot like the original Doctor Strange. So yeah, I really do think it was a brilliant casting choice for Benedict Cumberbatch as Doctor Strange. Plus, also a Doctor Strange, he's really like one of the more sort of cleverly titled Marvel characters because it's not like an actual like hero name that he goes by. I mean, Doctor Strange actually is his real name. Like he is Doctor Stephen Strange. So yeah, I do like that they do that. They really like just have him go by his own name as his hero name. I mean, it's not like with a Tony Stark, he's Iron Man, and Steve Rogers is Captain America, Bruce Banner, Hulk, Peter Parker, Spider Man, and so on and so forth. Yeah, I really do like how they actually really do use like his actual like a birth name as his hero name. So I really do think that's a really clever thing that they did when well a clever choice that Stan Lee made when he did come up with Doctor Strange. So yeah, I really did like that. that, and I really think it is kind of a clever move right there. So yeah, but yeah, Benedict Cumberbatch, he really does do really good as Doctor Strange in this film, and this movie also does have like cast members like uh, Chiwetel Ejiofor. Yeah, I'm so sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. Kind of like hard to pronounce. You know, it has a Rachel McAdams, Benedict Wong, Michael Stolberg, Scott Adkins, and Benjamin Bratt, and of course Tilda Swinton as the Ancient One. And yeah, everyone in this movie overall, they do a pretty good job in this film. I do think that they are pretty good, especially like with Tilda Swinton as the Ancient One. She's really good in this film, as well as Benedict Wong as Wong, and Chiwetel Ejiofor as Mordo. So yeah, I do think that the main cast in this film is overall pretty good. And then yeah, they do like have some good chemistry in this film. Yeah, 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 man. Yeah, it is like a. I really do think like Doctor Strange's origins are actually like pretty clever. It's not like how it is like just with other people. How like with Spider-Man, he's just like bitten by a radioactive spider, and that's how he gets his powers. And like Bruce Banner attacked with the gamma radiation and stuff. For like of course with Tony Stark, how he just ended up being like shot in the chest very close to the heart, and he needed the arc reactor to keep him alive and stuff, and that's how he really did come up with Iron Man and stuff. And so yeah, with origins like that, it's really like kind of like the traditional type of origins, like an origin you would expect. With Doctor Strange, it's like pretty interesting. They actually do it kind of differently. How he just like it is kind of like similar to Iron Man in a sense, but it is different as well. Where he just has an accident, and like when he just wants to like recover from his injuries, like like the way he actually like recovers from his injuries is like with the power, like the power that he has is really like what he needs to really recover from his injury. So yeah, I just think it is like a clever way of how he really does like become the hero that he is. So yeah, which I will talk about more in this review. But yeah, I really did like this movie overall. I mean, now like I said, it I would say that I do think it was the weakest of all the films that it had all the films dating back to the Winter Soldier that had uh, come out before this film. But yeah, it is still like better than some other MCU movies as well. Like it's definitely not the weakest of the MCU films at all. I mean, yeah, definitely like far from that. So yeah, not like as good as like a lot of the others, but still a pretty good movie. So yeah, I would probably give this movie 3.5 stars out of 4. So yeah, it was definitely like an enjoyable film. I mean, yeah, not the greatest, but definitely worth the watch, and I am glad that I did see this movie. So yeah, so pretty good film overall. So yeah, let me just get right into it. All right, so yeah, this film was actually the first MCU film to open up with the Marvel Studios logo that's being currently used at the start of the MCU films. So yeah, this was the first film to have the current Marvel Studios opening logo. Yeah, and it opens up in Kathmandu, Nepal, where it shows uh, the sorcerer Caecilius and some of his goons, which are known as like Zilliats, enter the secret compound of Kam- Kamartaj, and they end up like attacking the librarian and beheading him. And they steal a few pages from an ancient mystical text that actually does belong to the Ancient One who is like a very long-lived sorcerer that pretty much has instructed everyone that has come to Kamartaj, including Caecilius, I guess in the mystical arts. Yeah, yeah. And then it shows that the Ancient One like tries to pursue who Caecilius and the Zealots, but yeah, they are able to escape and avoid the Ancient One. Yeah. And then the film introduces Stephen Strange, who is a neurosurgeon in New York City, and yeah, it's just shown that he's like a pretty cocky and arrogant type of neurosurgeon who just really does like to show off. Like it shows that there's like uh, this patient that appears to be dead and has like a bullet lodged in their brain, and Stephen Strange is able to actually remove a bullet from the brain, save the person's life, and he was just like doing it to try to humiliate another doctor and stuff, and it's showing that like his like former girlfriend Christine Palmer, who he works with, showing that she really doesn't like his attitude and stuff, and showing that like they had been in love before, but now they just appear to be just friends and stuff, and not really like have any sort of like a romantic connection. So yeah, I'm glad that like they did like kind of like decide for this film not to really go for like a romantic connection between them and just have them like really be like close friends and stuff, rather than what we usually get with like the romances and like Marvel films with of course Tony Stark and Pepper Potts and Thor and Jane and Bruce and Black Widow and even like Star-Lord and Gamora. Yeah, we have like romantic connections between them. While this film like the connection between Stephen Strange and Christine Ian Palmer, like it's not really like a romantic. They're just like really close workers with each other. Or so yeah, I love that they went with that approach with it. Yeah. But then one night, like as Steven is on the road, Bowden driving, he ends up like having a really bad accident where his car just like flips overhead and it just like falls like completely off the road, and yeah, he's just like severely wounded and injured, and it's showing that like he just has like a bunch of thing had suffered some severe nerve damage in his hands, and as a result of this, it really has forced him really into really just being forced to just step down as a neurosurgeon, and he really can't do anything. Like he can't perform the surgery anymore because he really just doesn't have any of the use of his hands. And, yeah, but he was like really desperate to just try to heal his hands up, and then he was told that he could undergo like some um, experimental surgeries that were like really expensive but effective, and so he underwent them, and it was like causing him to really like fall into bankruptcy. And he was just like so desperate to heal his hands, and then he eventually learned about this guy who was like a paraplegic. Is that how it's said? Paraplegic. Jonathan Pangborn, or who just like seemed to regain the use of his legs. And so then uh, Doctor Strange then just was able to find Pangborn, and Pangborn told him that he should locate Kamar where then he then did travel to Kathmandu to find it. And then he was eventually then did come across Mordo, who ended up like saving him after he was jumped by a few guys. Right, and then Mordo ended up taking Doctor Strange to Kamartaj, where then he then did meet the Ancient One, and the Ancient One then just demonstrated her powers to Doctor Strange, and she just like revealed that she had powers of like the astral plane, and as well as teleporting into other dimensions, such as the mirror dimensions and dimensions like that, and showed that like the astral plane showed that she could like separate like people and even be separate herself from her normal state, and like have the astral state like be separated from the normal state. But yeah, and then like Stephen like wanted the Ancient One to train him with the power, but yeah, she refused at first, but then with some persuasion from a Mordo, oh, she then agreed to it. But, yeah, and both the Ancient One and Mordo were just training Steven, Steven with the powers, with the mythological powers and stuff, and also the Ancient One told Steven that he should learn about this the same way that he learned his how to become a neurosurgeon. So then, yeah, Steven then like studied through some books in the library that was now guarded by Master Wong. Yeah, yeah, and it was also like revealed, that Earth is also like protected from threats by other dimen- from other dimensions by shields generated from these buildings called the Sanctums, which there were three of them. And they were located in New York City, London, and Hong Kong, on which like were connected and accessible from Kamartaj. Yeah, yeah. Only just all the sorcerer's main objectives were just to protect the sanctums through Pangborn, or oh well, no, I shouldn't say that. Pangborn chose to channel the mystical energy into walking again rather than actually protecting the sanctums. Yeah, and then yeah, it showed that at first, Stephen, of course, wasn't succeeding with any of his training to really progress with learning the mythological powers. But over time, then with some persuasion from the Ancient One and Mordo, well, he then did start to progress and get the hang of everything. And yeah, yeah, and then over time, then as Doctor Strange then kind of was reading text from the book that uh, Caecilius stole pages from, and then he learned that he could actually bend time with the Eye of Agamotto. Oh yeah, but Mordo and Wong actually told him that breaking the laws of nature could be a bad thing, and uh, he drew a comparison to Caecilius' desire for eternal life. Right? And it turned out that Caecilius was using the pages to contact Dormammu from the Dark Dimension, where time doesn't actually exist, and Caecilius then eventually ended up destroying the London Sanctum, and that ended up weakening the protection of Earth, and the Zealiots then were attacking the New York Sanctum, and that Sanctum's guardian was killed as well, and then Doctor Strange was then just fighting them off, and then with some help from the Cloak of Levitation. And at one point, he actually ended up getting stabbed by one of the Zealiots. But then, yeah, he was able to use the power to transport into his hospital, and he got Christine to tend to his wound. And then at one point, it looked like he was about to die, but then his astral state separated from his normal state, and then he was just trying to guide Christine through the procedure on how to tend to him. But then, and as the Cloak of Levitation was attacking one of the Zealiots, then his astral state separated as well, and then his astral state then went to attack Doctor Strange's astral state, and then they ended up getting into a fight. But then, after one point where Strange's normal state ended up looked like was gone, then dead, then Christine then revived him by shocking him. But then, and yeah, at one point then like Doctor Strange then just told Christine to just turn up the shock all the way and shock him, which yeah she did, and then like as his astral state was holding on to the Zeliot's state, and that ended up just shocking him so much that it just ended up killing him, and the Zeliot that was killed. Yeah, yeah, and then once then Strange then was like fully revived and healed, or tended to. I guess I should say not necessarily healed. And then yeah, he just told Christine what was going on and showed her the portal that he transported through. Yeah, yeah. And then he went back through the portal to the Camartage, where then the Ancient One and Mordo then arrived. Right? And then the Ancient One then just told Doctor Strange that since he you know saved the New York Sanctum, and since its guardian was killed, well, he should be the new guardian for the New York Sanctum. But then, Doctor Strange then eventually revealed to Mordo that the Ancient One is actually drawing power from the Dark Dimension to sustain like her long life. Yeah, and then eventually after uh, Mordo and Strange then and teleported or transported through the mirror dimension of New York, or as they were fighting Carsilius and his Azelios, then the Ancient One then challenged Carsilius, and then they fought, but then Carsilius eventually ended up mortally wounding the Ancient One, and then just escaped for Hong Kong. And then, of course, then Strange then tried to transport her to this hospital, so Christine and the other doctors could try to save her. But then, yeah, it showed that her astral state ended up separating, and Stephen pursued her, or Doctor Strange pursued her through his astral state. But then, yeah, the Ancient One then was just telling Doctor Strange that he'll have to bend the rules to complement Mordo's nature in order to defeat Caecilius, and then yeah, eventually then the Ancient One ended up dying. So then yeah, uh, Doctor Strange and Mordo then and arrived in Hong Kong, and it showed that Wong ended up being killed, the Sanctum was destroyed, and the Dark Dimension was just engulfing Earth. But then Doctor Strange then used the Eye of Agamotto to just uh, turn time back so Wong would be saved, and none of that stuff happened. And then once Wong was revived, then everything was pretty much reversed. Then Strange then entered the Dark Dimension and went face to face with Dormammu, and then started a time loop. And then as Dormammu was attempted to kill Doctor Strange, and then it just kept on having a time loop where of course Strange was just fine, of course, and just coming back, just say to he is coming to bargain, and eventually then after Dormammu then just realized that there really was no way he could kill Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange then just gave Dormammu the demand that Dormammu must leave Earth and take Caecilius and the Zilliats with him in return of breaking the loop, which of course then Dormammu then agreed to. Yeah. And then And once Doctor Strange was then reunited with Mordo and Wong, after Mordo just was just disillusioned by the defying of the nature's laws, Mordo then just left of the Doctor Strange and Wong, and then just showed then Doctor Strange returning the eye to Camartage, and then just took up the residence in the New York Sanctum. And then yeah, then the movie then just cut to credits, and then of course we then had the big credits scene, which of course was pretty much just a clip from Thor Ragnarok, where Doctor Strange was talking to Thor about bringing Loki to Earth in search for their search for Odin, and yeah, of course, Doctor Strange then just asked Thor if they were to find Odin, if they would return to Asgard, which of course Thor said yes, and then Doctor Strange said that he would help Thor find Loki and Odin. Yeah, so yeah, that was pretty much just a little bit of a sneak peek from Thor Ragnarok, just I guess to just show that Doctor Strange would be in that movie as well, which he was, but it was a very brief role he had in that movie. He's so yeah, kind of like it's sort of like a little bit of a misleading scene since he really didn't have that big of a role in the movie. Yeah. But then, of course, then afterwards, once the credits were fully finished, then we had the post-credit scene where it then showed that Mordo then like confronted Pangborn, and then it showed that he just ended up pretty much just stealing the physical energy out of Mordo, and then like he was just back to his paraplegic state again, and didn't have any use of his legs. And yeah, Mordo just said that he finally realizes what's wrong with the world, and that it has too many sorcerers. And then yeah, then it just cut to black, and then it just then read Doctor Strange will return, which of course he did. Yeah, we already knew he would return by that mid-credit scene, but of course, yeah, he would also be in Avengers: Infinity War, and of course in Endgame as well. So yeah, so by from what that post-credit scene was seeming to uh, uh, say, or what it was meaning to show, it looks like from the looks of that Mordo may be the villain in the next Doctor Strange film. Yeah, because they do have a sequel plan. I don't think there is actually like an official release date for it yet, but yeah, from the uh, looks of that post-credit scene with Mordo saying there's too many sorcerers, it looks like he will be the villain in the sequel, and he'll probably like try to strip all of the sorcerers' uh, mythological powers, and it looks like maybe he'll also like be after Doctor Strange, and maybe will he actually take away the energy from Doctor Strange, and he'll just have no use of his hands again? I mean, yeah, I guess we're just gonna have to wait because, yeah, of course, like right now, Doctor Strange is busy like with the rest of the Avengers, like Infinity War, and he's disintegrated. So yeah, so yeah, who knows like what he'll be up to next in Avengers Endgame? But yeah, looks like we will probably have Mordo as this villain in the next Doctor Strange movie, whenever that may be. So yeah, but yeah, a pretty good movie. Like I said, 3.5 stars out of 4. Definitely enjoyed it. Like I said, probably the weakest one of the ones dating back to Winter Soldier, as I said, but still a really good movie. So definitely worth a watch, and I am glad that I did see it. So yeah, so definitely worth a watch. I mean, if you haven't seen it before, which I'm sure a lot of you have, but if you haven't, check it out. It's worth a watch. All right, so yeah, so I guess that's all I can really say about it. So this is it for my review of Doctor Strange. So I hope you guys enjoyed this review, and stay tuned for more Phase 3 MCU reviews coming up. So yeah, so thanks for watching this review, and I'll see you guys later.